Okay, good evening. Welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, I tried this flight the other night and encountered an issue which apparently is quite common with flight sim, and that basically the further into the flight I got, the more degraded the performance got, and eventually it dumped on me about 30 miles out from our destination. So here's hoping, fingers crossed, that isn't the case tonight. So the flight is starting here at Bryce Canyon in Utah. The airfield elevation here is 7,590 feet, which is quite high above sea level. However, our destination is the highest airport in the United States, which is at a place called Lake County in Colorado, and the airfield elevation there is just shy of 10,000 feet. It's 9,900 and something. I can't remember off the top of my head. So I'll show you the routing for tonight's flight. We're starting off on the left hand side of the page at Bryce Canyon. There's a VOR just beside the field, so we'll be routing initially towards it and then up to the northeast towards, I think it's called Hanksville VOR. And from Hanksville we'll be turning to the east and towards a place called Montrose in Colorado, and then from Montrose over towards Lake County, which is on the right hand side of the page there. So if I open up the charts for Bryce Canyon, there's two runways here, runways 3 and 21. There is a standard instrument departure. It's an RNAV departure, but it uses the VOR, so we can go ahead and essentially copy it. We'll find out which runway we are going to use. I don't think there's ATC here at Bryce Canyon, so we'll listen to the weather and we'll make our own decision as to which runway is more suitable. And then basically the departure involves routing towards the Bryce Canyon VOR, and then we'll pick up our flight plan from there. So I will I'll open that back up, but I'll close it on here for now, and we'll jump in the cockpit and we will run through the checklists and set everything up for departure. So first of all, I'm going to turn the power on so we can set up the nav radios and stuff. Bryce Canyon VOR is 112.8, so we'll dial that into nav 1, and the next VOR is 115.9, so we'll dial that into standby of nav 1 and nav 2, and the Montrose VOR is 117.1, so we'll put that into standby of nav 2. It's the 264 radio into well, it should be the 264 radio into Bryce Canyon. We'll double check that once we get the weather, and we'll also set the autopilot. We're going to climb up to 19,500 feet, which is about 1,000 feet short of this aircraft's ceiling. The reason being that we have some quite high terrain to negotiate further into the flight plan. So we'll power everything off because the radios and the autopilot and everything is set, and we'll run through the before engine start checklist. So the park and brake is set, the seat belts are fastened and secure, the gear selector is down, The throttles are idle. The propeller controls are full forward. Mixture is idle. Cowl flaps are open. The fuel selectors are on. Radio master is off. Electrical switches are off. Heater switch is off, and the prop sync is on. So alternators on. Battery master on. Anti-collision lights are on. Beacon lights are on. The gear lights have 3 green. Prop controls are high RPM. So engine 1, the mixture control is full rich, throttles full open. We'll run the fuel boost pump for peak flow. That should do it. I'll turn that off. Throttle closed, open 1/4 inch.
Okay.
Magnetos right, left, both, and start. So we'll check the oil pressure is in the green, alternator loads in the green, and we have no annunciator warning lights. So we'll go ahead and repeat the procedure for engine number 2. So mixture controls full rich, throttles full open. We'll run the fuel boost pumps, and that'll do. We'll turn that off. Throttle closed, open 1/4 inch, and magnetos right, left, both, and start. Same again, oil pressure is good, alternator load is good, and we have no annunciator lights other than the caution telling us that the pitot heat is off, so we'll turn that on. So continuing on, avionics are on. This takes a second to initialize, so I'll set this up for my own preference here. Winds option 3, bearing 1 is VOR1, bearing 2 is VOR2. So the other thing that we'll get here is we'll get it's given us a rotation speed of 85 knots, so we'll bear that in mind for takeoff. I'll turn this on, menu, map set up. We'll change north up to heading up, and that's good, and we'll zoom in. So we're at the runway 3 end of things. So anyway, we will get the weather now.
Kilo Bravo Charlie Echo automated weather observation 2300 Zulu. Wind 029er at 17. Visibility 10. Sky condition 4,800 feet scattered. Temperature 1C dew point, 10 C altimeter 3007. Kilo Bravo Charlie Echo automated weather observation 2300 Zulu.
3007. Right, so let's tune to the traffic to get rid of that. So the runways are the winds are actually favouring runway 3, and runway 3 will take us away from the Bryce Canyon VOR. So we will we'll just look to pick up the outbound radio from Bryce Canyon, which is 045. So I'll change the course selector to 045, and alright, so altimeter was set 3007. that gives us an airfield elevation of 7590. That's correct. Fuel selectors to crossfeed. Transponders 1200 and standby. Taxi lights are on. Oil temperatures in the green, and we'll check the brakes on the way out to the runway. I'm also going to turn on the windshield de-ice and the surface de-ice, because we have some clouds we're at high level and we may encounter some icing conditions. So let's go ahead and announce that we're going to taxi out to runway 3. I don't think there's anyone here listening, but so we'll release the park and brake. Runway 3 is dead ahead. Oh, crazy guy in a van. I'm not sure if there's a holding point further beyond this one. Doesn't look like it. So what we'll do is we'll stop here and we'll apply the park and brake. We'll run through the before takeoff checklist. We'll check the flight controls as well. So everything is moving freely. Rudders to full deflection. Brakes work because we can stop. Right, so type of takeoff will be just a non-SID departure, taking off from runway 3, and we'll in the air be looking to pick up the 045 radial out of Bryce Canyon up towards Hanksville. Flaps are retracted. Fuel boost pumps are, we'll turn them on for takeoff. Anti-collision lights are on. Beacon is on. Landing lights are on. Transponders set 1200 standby. Mixtures, we're going to lean the mixture back a little bit actually because we are at nearly 8,000 feet. Autopilot's off. Yaw dampeners off. Cowl flaps are open. And we have ice protection on. So we're ready to depart. We will announce that we are departing and we're going to head initially to the east, so we'll go with that.
Kilo Bravo Charlie Echo Traffic Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo taking off runway 3 departure to the east.
So have a little look outside the plane. Looks like there's nothing on approach, nothing down the runway. So we will taxi out for takeoff. A little bit of a crosswind from our left. Not anything to cause us any concern. So we'll line up and we'll set the heading bug for dead ahead. Alright, let's bring the power up. So we're looking for 85 knots, that's rotate. So we have a positive rate, gears coming up. We'll bring the throttles back a little bit, the propeller RPM rather back just a little bit. And we'll look for climb speed of 120. coming up on 1,000 feet above the ground. I'm going to turn on the autopilot, select heading mode, and flight level change. So we're going to set the autopilot to maintain a climb speed of 120 knots. We'll run through the climb checks. So engine propeller RPM is 2600 RPM. Power is full. Gears up. Trim is set by the autopilot. The yaw dampener's on. Cowl flaps are now closed. Ice protection's on. So that's the after the climb checks complete. So alright, so I'm going to zoom the map out to a range of 20 nautical miles or so. That's 20 nautical miles, and you can see that the course needle is way off to the left, so we'll check across to the left, see that we have enough clearance for the terrain, and we will turn the aircraft to the left, to the north, and we'll look to intercept that 045 radial outbound from Bryce. So we are currently 11.7 nautical miles out from Bryce and 76.2 nautical miles inbound to Hanksville, I think was the name of the VOR. So if I zoom in here on the primary flight display, you can see the green needle moving towards the center. So that's our course selector. Now that it's moving more towards the middle, in fact I'll just wait till it gets a little bit closer, and then we'll select nav mode on the autopilot, and that will turn the aircraft to the right to follow that course outbound from Bryce towards Hanksville. So that's just about centered there now, so we'll select nav, hold. The aircraft is turning on course. It's coming up into a thin layer of cloud. Hopefully 19,500 feet will have us above any cloud and out of any icing. Outside temperature is -15. So we can have a little look outside the aircraft. Clouds obscuring the view somewhat. So this is the view from the tail cam, as it were. Cold and snowy, as you might imagine, up in the hills and mountains of Utah. So we'll keep an eye on things from the cockpit as we climb up to our cruise altitude. Everything's in the green, fuel flow is good, cylinder head temperature is good, if not a little on the high side, but the engine is under a lot of power, putting out a lot of power right now. Oil temperature is good, oil pressure is good, alternator load is good, and as is our fuel quantity. So the other thing that we can do now is we can check in with ATC and ask them if they would follow us on radar and keep us away from other traffic.
Salt Lake Center Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alfa Romeo Kilo is type Beechcraft B58, 12 miles northeast of Kilo Bravo Charlie Echo 16,300 feet. Request flight following.
Kilo Salt Lake Center. Squawk 5313.
5313, so that's the code that identifies us to ATC. I do have a quick button fix set so that I don't need to dial that in. I can just flick this
Squawk 5313
and
Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
it does it automatically.
Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo radar contact 1 4 miles northeast of Kilo Bravo, Charlie Echo, 17,000 feet. Altimeter tree 0.10.
3010, so we've got 3007 set in, so we'll adjust that.
Roger, Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
So ATC's talking with another aircraft as well as us, but we've dialed in the altimeter setting as given by ATC. And that was the other aircraft confirming whatever instruction was given to them. So we're at 17,800 feet. Once we pass through 18,000 feet, we'll set the altimeter to 2992, which is the standard pressure setting above 18,000. For some reason my little button there wasn't working, so that's it dialed in and set to 2992. So we have, let's have a look on our flight plan. We have 88 nautical miles between these two waypoints. We are 26 nautical miles outbound. So once we get halfway between the two waypoints, we'll switch from navigating one of them outbound to the other one inbound. We'll lean the mixture out just a little bit more. Is struggling a little bit for power up at this altitude.
Salt Lake Center Executive 597 is at flight.
So we've got less than 1,000 feet to our cruising altitude of 19,500. The 500 feet difference is because we are essentially flying visually, or we don't have an IFR flight plan filed with ATC, so we fly a flight level that is not on the exact 1,000. It's 500 above or below, depending on which way you want to look at it. So that should keep us clear of any airline traffic. So we'll just have a couple of 100 more feet until we're up at our desired cruising altitude of 19,500. Once we get up to 19,500, we will run through the cruise checklists.
KLM 602 contact Salt Lake Center on 133.9er. Good day.
KLM 602. So I'm going to have a little look on my KLM 602 is a Boeing 787-10 series Dreamliner, and he is currently en route from Los Angeles to Amsterdam, and if I look at him on the map here, he's not too far away from us, but he's at 37,000 feet, so we don't have to worry about bumping into him. So here we are in outside view over the mountains of Utah. So if I open this back up, we are roughly about halfway between the magenta line up over this area here. So we got terrain below us up to just over 11,000 feet. And we're heading up to the waypoint at the top right hand corner of the screen there, which is Hanksville VOR. So we'll close that and we'll go back into the cockpit. So we'll run through the cruise checklists. The power is set full. We have 2600. Let me just zoom in and check that we are at 26. So yep, we are 26. I'm going to increase that just a little bit. So we got 2650 on the RPM. Trim set by the auto. Fuel boost pumps, well, we can turn them off now. Cowl flaps are closed. Head indicator is checked, flying, and we are almost at the equidistant point between Bryce Canyon and Hanksville, so we'll switch that in a minute, and we have ice protection on. So we will select head-in mode for the moment. So head-in mode is selected. We'll switch from 115.9 and we'll reselect nav hold. So we're now flying inbound to Hanksville VOR as opposed to outbound from Bryce Canyon. And we have about 44, just under 40, just over 40 miles to reach that waypoint, and then we'll be making a right-hand turn towards Montrose. And there's 132 nautical miles between those two waypoints. At the moment, we don't have any reading from the Montrose VOR, but that is not a matter of concern, as we should pick it up a bit closer in. As long as we pick it up within 70 miles or so, we'll be good. And then we have, once we reach Montrose, we have around about another 80 miles until we get to our destination at Lake County. So I've got a funny feeling that we will get to our destination around about sunset, maybe just a little bit after. So what I'll do is I'll open the charts for our destination. So it was KLXV. KLXV, Lake County, Leadville. So we can have a look at the airport layout. So we have a northwest southeast runway layout. Airfield elevation is 9,934 feet above sea level. Look at the charts here for the approach. There is an RNAV approach for runway 16. I did fly this the last time I flew in here. I think the winds predominantly favor the southerly runway. So the RNAV approach is flown from waypoint Davie, and we crossed Davie at 16,000 feet on a heading of 169, descending down to 13,000 feet to Skid. We pick up the glide slope from Skid and descend on a heading of 161 to runway 16. The missed approach point is 2.4 nautical miles out, and the missed approach procedure calls to climb to 16,000 direct to waypoint Moreau and on a track 142 to Lozelle, and then hold and continue the climb and hold to 16,000. Straight in minimums. So if we're using the LNAV approach, decision altitude is 10,542 feet, which is 608 feet above the runway surface. And the missed approach, there's a note. No, that's not for this one. Alright, cool. So that's the plan. We'll get the weather after Montrose and just confirm that runway 16 is the preferential runway. I would imagine, being that it's the only one with an approach, that it probably is. So head back in the cockpit here. We got our eyes on our instrumentation. Everything's in the green. Nothing of any concern. We have 25 miles to run to Hanksville before we make our turn towards Montrose. So I'll just have a little look at the winds. The winds are 284 at 21, so it is a tailwind, if not a little bit of a crosswind. So I'm going to use a little tool that I have here to calculate my wind correction. So we want to make a turn. Whoops. So that's us just been handed over to the next ATC controller, so I'll deal with that first. So we tune to Salt Lake. We'll listen to make sure we're not buttoning on anyone. Doesn't sound like there's anyone on the talking on the frequency, so we'll talk to the controller.
Salt Lake Center Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo flight level 190.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Salt Lake Center. Continue as planned.
So there's a little bit of an anomaly there with flight sim. I did dial in 19,500. The autopilot is showing me at 19,200, and ATC thinks I'm at 19,000. So It is what it is. It's a limitation of the sim. I'm not going to get upset about that. So I'll use my little calculator here, and so we want to fly 072 outbound. Our true airspeed is 186 knots. That's given us 201 across the ground, thanks to that tailwind. So the wind direction is from 284 and it's at 21 knots. So we need to, based on our speed and the winds, we need to correct our course outbound by 3 degrees and fly 069. So I'll dial that in just now, and we'll, when we get closer to the VOR, we'll make our turn. So we don't need to cross the VOR and then turn. What there's a formula for calculating when to make the turn, so that we establish on our outbound course without having to cross the VOR. So as we have a ground speed of 200, just over 200 knots, we will start our turn 2 nautical miles from the VOR. And I've noticed with Flight Sim that this isn't perfect. However, it is how it was taught to me when I did my instrument rating within Flight Simulator. So we'll just go with what we've been told. Starting to get a little bit bumpy. We are in a lot clearer skies just now though. Outside air temperature is minus 27 degrees, so pretty chilly out there. So, I was a little bit distracted there with my second PC, which is running the Open Broadcast software. It's still a big learning curve for me with that. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at, to be honest, but I've never seen drop frames. It tells me in the bottom corner that it's dropped 5.3% of the frames. Not quite sure how that would be, but anyway, let's worry about the flying. So we are 3.7 nautical miles from the Hanksville VOR, and that means that in just over or just under a mile and a half we will make our turn to our outbound course of 072, and checking with the winds. The winds haven't changed all that much, so we will fly an outbound heading of 069 to correct for the wind. So that's 2.5 nautical miles. 2.4. Alright, so we lost the signal there. We're in the cone of confusion, so we will start the turn now. And we'll dial in the outbound course, which was 072. So we are directly, or we just passed directly overhead the VOR, and hopefully the course needle will start to move back towards the middle. It's on the right hand side as we look at it, so that means we need to turn, or be to be on course we need to be slightly more to the right, but hopefully within the next half a mile or so that needle will start to move back to the middle. When it does, we can select nav hold again, and that will hold us on the 072 course outbound, and if it doesn't start, then we can make a little bit of a manual adjustment and turn ourselves towards that radio. So it's not turning all that much, so what we'll do is we will adjust our heading. And once the needle starts to move back towards the middle, we will select nav again. So we do have a DME reading from the next VOR at Montrose. We have 126 nautical miles to run to Montrose, so we're still quite far out from there. So we'll continue on this outbound radio from Hanksville for another 50 or so nautical miles, and then we'll switch over. So that course needle is almost centered again, so we'll reselect nav hold, and that will turn the aircraft to keep us on that outbound 072 radio out of Huntsville, Hanksville. So our ground speed is now 207 knots, thanks to the 21 knot tailwind, which is almost exactly on our tail. So that's handy. 211 knots across the ground is 140 miles an hour. So we're making some pretty good progress up towards our destination. So let me just quickly Google something. down a little bit. I think the internet is quite busy. It's maybe struggling to keep up with our bit rate to the server. Hopefully that will cure the problem. So we'll jump in outside view and have a little look around. This is the Canyonlands National Park beneath us. Some fairly spectacular scenery. Although not a place that you would want to have engine troubles and want to land. I'll leave it in showcase view for a little while. I'm going to do a little bit more reading on this drop frames just to make sure that so that's us being handed to the next controller, so we'll just deal with ATC. So we switch frequencies, we're listening in, nobody's talking.
Salt Lake Center Beach Golf. Mike Alfa Romeo, flight level 110. Beechcraft. Mike Alfa Romeo, Kilo Salt Lake. Continue this way.
Okay, so let's have a look on the ground. Winds are from the north. 010 at 14, cloudy conditions and a -7. I also have a funny feeling that it is, if it isn't already, it's about to get dark. Let's have a look. So yeah, I have a funny feeling that it's going to be dark when we get to our destination. Just have a quick look in cockpit view. So we have.
Beechcraft Alfa Romeo, Kilo contact Denver Center on 127.55.
Let me just switch frequencies here.
127.55.
So we got about another
Beachcraft
hour
Golf, Romeo Kilo.
till we reach our destination, and I think it's just going to be after the sun goes down, but we should get a fairly nice sunset. What concerns me though is the winds. The winds are from the north, and we will be landing to the south. We'll be landing with a little bit of a tailwind at the highest airport in America. What could possibly go wrong? So tune to Denver Center. There's no one talking, so we will check in.
Denver Center Beachcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo flight level 190.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Denver Center, continue as planned.
Yep, so as I say, we got about another hour flying to get to our destination, and according to flight radar, so I wonder if I got it on my iPad. Have I got it on my iPad? I do. So
Skywest 3641, contact Denver Center on 134.1.
alright, so Leadville is centered in the middle of this page, and you can see just to the east of Denver it's starting to get dark. Our destination is highlighted in red there, so you can see that we have cloudy conditions, -7, and winds are 010 at 14. That's the real world information from flight radar. So it could be a bit of a challenge. Alright, so let's have a look on. So here is I'm actually the map background is the world VFR chart. We're not flying any airways. Well, actually we are on an airway at the moment, the Victor 244, which runs amongst other places between the Hanksville VOR and the Montrose VOR. So that's the sectional chart, but the backdrop of the VFR chart shows us the geographical features. So if I zoom in here, just up ahead of us is there are 3 mountains that they are the highest points on this particular part of our flight plan. Mount Was, I think that's how you pronounce it, W-A-A-S, Mount Peale, P-E-A-L-E, and South Mount. So they're just up ahead of the aircraft just now. Change and zoom in. You can see those 3 mountains up ahead. They rise up to 12,721 feet. So we still got 7,000 feet of clearance from them, but nevertheless some pretty high terrain. So just checking, we are 49 nautical miles outbound from Hanksville, and we are 82.5 inbound to Montrose. So in about another 15 miles or so we'll switch over to track inbound to the Montrose VOR. Let me remove... Actually, I think I just... so there's those mountains in front of me there. I didn't remove my iPad from the screen there, just realized that. So that's Mount Was on the left, Mount Peel in the middle, and the South Mountain to the right. Starting to get more clouds up ahead, and we'll go back to outside view. You can see the sun over there in the west. It's starting to get pretty low in the sky. I'm starting to cast some shadows on our cockpit instruments. We're almost directly overhead these three mountains. This G1000 navigation suite does have synthetic vision, so you can see the mountains ahead of us there on the synthetic vision, as well as up ahead of us from outside view. Starting to get pretty cloudy as we make our way to Montrose, Colorado. So 60 miles out and 72, so about 6 miles we'll make the switch. So we'll set the heading bug for our current course of 076. Check on the winds, 277 at 22, so we still got a tailwind. We've got 209 knots across the ground, and we're almost at the equidistance point. 60 out, 69 in, so a couple of miles. See some higher level traffic at my 11 o'clock, and on my navigation map I can see something at 1 o'clock, but I can't see them out the window, so it must be a bit higher. Alright, so that's the extant point. We'll switch to heading mode. We'll dial in 117.1 into nav 1, and it's got us a little bit off of the radio. So what we'll do is we can use this and recenter. So that has us now on the 075 or the 076 radio. That'll do inbound. So we'll reselect nav mode. And the aircraft's just making a bit of a turn just to establish on the center of that radio. We're being handed over to Denver Center.
Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
We've tuned in to Denver Center. There's no one talking. We'll check in.
Denver Center Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo flight level 190.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Denver Center. Continue as planned.
So upon crossing the Montrose VOR, we will change course by about 30 degrees up towards our destination. I think we will fly the RNAV approach. So we will first of all cross the VOR using VOR navigation. We'll establish on the outbound radio, and then we'll probe the GPS for a RNAV approach using the approach fix which was given on the charts, which we'll go back to and have another little look at once we get a bit closer. I think if I remember rightly, the initial approach fix was a waypoint called Davy and 16,000 feet. As I say, we will get past Montrose before we deal with that, and we are about 57 miles out from Montrose at the moment. Starting to get some nice pinks on the clouds ahead, with the sun getting lower in the sky behind us. See that the right hand side of the aircraft is lit in the twilight, and the left hand side of the plane is a lot darker.
Southwest 2457, contact Denver Center on 127.55. Good day.
So we'll just have another little check on our instrumentation. We've got 4 inches of manifold pressure on each side, 2650 on the prop RPM. We got a good fuel flow. Cylinder temperature is nicely in the green. Oil temperatures in the green. Oil pressures in the green. Alternator load is also in the green. And we have roughly half our fuel that we departed with remaining. I'll zoom the map out a little bit on this side and see if we can foresee Montrose. Well, we are at 50 nautical miles out, and we've got 50 nautical miles of range. It's not showing. That's not a worry. We'll zoom back to 20 anyway. just to let you see the map again, we're just we're on the purple line or the magenta line on the lower left hand side of the page, making our way up to the green dot that has 048 and 86 beside it. That's our outbound course and the distance to our destination. Like I say, we will or 048 it is, and 86 nautical miles. What we'll do is, once we've passed the Montrose VOR and established on that 048 outbound radio, we will look to program the GPS. I think, as it's definitely going to be dark when we get to County. It's in the mountains, and it's probably, I don't think that there would be any sensible alternative other than to fly the RNAV approach for runway 16, even if we do have a little bit of a tailwind. Traffic of us, I can see him visually and on my map display. Looks like he's reasonably close to us in terms of altitude, but not enough that ATC has. I nearly spoke too soon. That's him just advising us of the traffic above us. He's about 2,000 feet above us, and it's SkyWest 5315. So we can have a look and so we'll tell the ATC that we saw him. Looking to see if I can find him on my... Yeah, so he departed from Montrose. He's headed to Los Angeles. It's an Embraer 175. There is a little bit of a lag in flight sim. They told me he was at 22,500. He's climbing. He's at his cruising altitude in real life at 35,000. He'll be in Los Angeles in about an hour and a half. So we were getting handed over there to Denver Center. So
125.35 for Beechcraft Alfa Romeo Kilo.
Some impressive cloud formations and colors ahead of us now.
Denver Center Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alfa Romeo Kilo flight level 190.
So the sun's almost on the horizon there, off to the west, as we head into the pink clouds up ahead. So we have just over 28 nautical miles to Montrose. Ground speed's still pretty good at 206 knots. We have the benefit of a 20 knot tailwind, just under 26 nautical miles to Montrose. Outside air temperature is minus 26, so there might be some icing conditions in these clouds, so we need to keep our eyes out for that. We do have the surface anti-ice on as well as the wind heat, so we should be alright. See some stars starting to pop out in the skies up ahead of us. Our calculator again here to work out our outbound course. So we want to fly 048. Our true airspeed still 186. Wind direction is 268 now. The wind speed's 20 knots. So if nothing changes here, we need to make a 4-degree course alteration for the wind, so we'll fly 044 outbound. Not that it are all that much, because as I say, once we cross the VOR and are headed out towards Lake County, we'll then look to change from using VOR navigation to GPS navigation, so that we can fly the RNAV approach for runway 16 at Lake County, where it's going to be cloudy and dark as we look for landing at the highest airport above sea level in the United States. Coming up on 10 miles from Montrose, Colorado. I think that's it up ahead of us. You can see the street lights or the road lighting leading on whatever road that is that leads into Montrose. that's alright, it should have enough juice to get us to our destination. Just having a look down there, that's Highway 50, I think that is down below us, which goes into Montrose. So we'll jump back in the cockpit because we are almost at or overhead the Montrose VOR and the Montrose airport. So let's see if I can. So that's Montrose down there. The airport is just off the nose of the aircraft now. And as I say, that's Highway 50 that's lit up there, running into and through Montrose. So 4 miles, so we got 2 miles till we make our turn. So we're going to turn 044 for the 04 radio. So we got about a mile to the turn. Although due to our altitude, we may enter the cone of confusion a little bit early, or a little bit, not early, but a little bit before the 2 miles. So we're at 2.5, 2.4, 2.3, 2.2, and there we have no data, so we'll say 2.1 and 2. So we'll switch to heading mode, change the course to the 048. And it's not so important that we actually line up on that radio. What we'll do is we'll dial in here that into the GPS. So we want to, we're flying to Kilo Lima X-Ray Victor, so I'll dial that in. Oops. Kilo Lima X-Ray Victor. Oops. Oh. Kilo Lima, I made an arse of this, and X-Ray. Why is it disappearing? Kilo Lima X-Ray. Why is it not letting me dial in this last? Kilo Lima X-Ray. I had to go the other way. Kilo Lima X-Ray Victor. So that's Leadville, Colorado. So we'll select activate. And we'll then dial in our approach RNAV, and we will activate RNAV data from the Davy transition. So we'll activate that, and now switch from VOR tracking mode to GPS. We'll reselect nav, and you can see that rather than being a green line now, it's a magenta line, and it's also drawn on the right hand side on the map as well. So this the GPS is now navigating us towards waypoint Davy, which is 80 nautical miles from our present position, and at our current airspeed that's about 20 minutes flying. It's like I say, it's going to be dark when we get to Leadville, and if the winds are as forecast, it will be a little bit of a tailwind. So there's plenty of mountains up ahead, and we'll just stay in showcase view for now as we make our way up in the mountains here in Colorado. So, having a look on the map, the highest points between here and our initial fix, it's about 14,600. We'll wait till we're a bit closer in before we make a descent. But I'll open up the RNAV chart and we'll have a look at the approach chart. So, waypoint Davy is 18.8 nautical miles to the north of the field. That's the initial approach fix. So we will cross Davy at 16,000 feet. We'll descend a little bit closer in. From Davy it's ahead in a 169 towards Skid, and we descend to 13,000 feet. We pick up the glide hopefully at Skid, although if I remember rightly the last time I flew this it didn't pick the glide up, so we'll probably have to set our descent manually towards Inger at 7.7 nautical miles, Talview at 4.6. We're flying the LNAV approach, so decision altitude is 10,542 feet or 608 feet above the ground, and that's 1 3/4 miles from the runway threshold. Missed approach is the climb to 16,000 feet on a track of 142. Hopefully we won't need to worry about that. And there are no notes relevant to us. So that's the approach chart. And we'll just we'll stay in showcase view as we make our way up towards the initial approach fix, which is an intersection called Davy. dark, cloudy and mountainous. Not a place that we would want anything to go wrong. Certainly not out with the confines of the safety provided by Flight Sim. You can crash as often as you like in Flight Sim and still live to tell the tale, but nonetheless we do try and avoid any crashes. And it's a little bit bumpy, as you might expect, over these mountains. So we'll just have a little check on everything. We're 59.3 nautical miles to our initial approach fix. Just a little over 15 minutes flying to reach that waypoint. Local time is just coming up on 5:30 in the evening. As you can see, it's dark, the remnants of daylight off the left wing in the southwest. Pretty dark everywhere else. So we still have a ground speed of 204 knots. We got a tailwind of 22, slightly from the left, so we are tracking a little bit offset. To our current course. So this should take us up over Aspen, that kind of area in Colorado, and then we make a right turn towards our destination, Leadville. So ATC's handing me over, so
134.5 Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo.
We will change frequencies here. So the frequency is quiet.
Denver Center Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo flight level 190.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Denver Center.
So if I zoom this map out, you can see that the aircraft is tracking up towards waypoint Davie. It'll be a right turn from there towards our destination, Leadville Airport, Lake County. And the GPS reckons we have another 15 minutes en route. We'll be landing just slightly more than 15 minutes because we need to descend and slow down. But it looks like Flight Sim is running pretty well. It quit on me the last time in about this region, but it suffered severely degraded performance. The audio was absolutely atrocious, and the frame rate had dropped to basically a slideshow. So fingers crossed that doesn't happen and we can complete this flight. Have a look at the stars up there. I'm not sure how accurate Flight Sim modelled the stars, but he certainly modelled all the terrain properly, so using Bing Maps. I'll need to Google and see if they did something similar with the stars. So we need to lose 3,000 feet to when we reach the initial, before we reach the initial approach fix. So we'll start that descent in about 20 or 30 miles, and
Going to 123.8 Beechcraft.
we've just been handed to Aspen approach. So
Aspen approach Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo flight level 190.
Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha
dial 16,000 in to the autopilot, and our approach course is 161. So that's us being handed over once again.
Going to 134.5 Beechcraft Alpha Romeo Kilo. Denver Center Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo flight level 190.
Generic 272, contact Denver Center on 119.85. Good day. Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo Denver Center. Continue as planned.
Okay, so in addition to the missed approach, if for any reason we are not able to complete the landing here, we will not look to make a second approach for this airport, and we will divert to Denver International, and we'll just use GPS navigation to get us there after following the missed approach procedure. I'm confident that that won't happen. I missed an ATC call there, so
123.8
been handed back to Aspen. Flight sim can be a bit of a pain in the ass when it comes to being handed about from one controller to the other. So I think we're close enough that we can look for our airport on. So Lake County is there, number 5. Wasn't quick enough, it's now number 4. So let's tune to the weather at Lake County. Alright, so winds are 351 at 10 from the north, so just as I suspected, we will be landing with a bit of a tailwind. Visibility 6 miles, with scattered and overcast at 4,800 feet. I'm not quite sure how that works, considering the airfield is nearly the airfield elevation is 9,934 feet. So temperature of -3, dew point 10, and the altimeter was 3006. So we will dial that in once we descend below 18,000 feet. So we'll tune to the traffic and tell them that we're going to land on runway 16.
Kilo Lima X-Ray Victor Traffic Beechcraft Golf. Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo 3 miles west flight level.
So now we don't have to worry about being handed between the various air traffic controllers. We're tuned to the traffic frequency at our destination. I wouldn't imagine there'll be anyone else on this frequency. I think we'll be the only ones headed to Lake County at this time of day. outside view, see if we can see anything down there, but so that's the west off in the distance behind us. You can just see the last throes of light, and not a lot to see below us. Not quite sure where any of those places might be. So we've got 25 miles to the initial approach fix. We could start a very shallow descent. So we're descending at 500 feet per minute, no adjustments on the power. We don't have to worry about picking up too much speed. And we're descending down to 16,000, which is the required altitude for the initial approach fix Davy, D-A-V-V-Y. From Davy it will be a heading of 169. I'll dial that in. The autopilot will fly the lateral navigation, but just in case for any reason we need to disconnect, it's better to have the required headings dialed in. So that's us just coming down on 18,000 feet. Once we run a few hundred feet past there, we will dial in the local altimeter setting of 3006. So that's it set now. So we'll increase our descent rate a little bit. Zoom in on the... So this is the map display here on this side, and if I zoom in a little bit closer, so the aircraft is tracking towards the northeast, up towards making a nice right hand turn to the initial waypoint Davy, and from then we'll follow the RNAV approach into runway 16 at Leadville, Colorado, Lake County Airport. I think initially we will have to make the altitude changes ourselves, as I'm pretty sure the glide slope isn't as it is in real life. available from waypoint Skid. I can't remember how much further in I had to go to pick up the glide path the last time, but we'll keep an eye on that. So we're 8 nautical miles out from Davie. We got a ground speed of 219 knots thanks to our 800 feet per minute descent rate. We'll be leveling off in about 500 feet, a few miles ahead of the initial approach fix, so that's all good. From Davie we will then turn heading 169 towards Skid, and we'll make a further descent down to 13,000 feet. And from Skid it's to waypoint Inger, which is 7.7 nautical miles out, and Talue, which is 4.6 nautical miles out, and our missed approach is 1 3/4 miles out, but hopefully we won't need to worry about that. So 4.2 nautical miles to Davie. Looks like the clouds are broken, but I think we should be able to see where we're going and what we're doing, hopefully. So the plane's starting to slow down just a little bit as we level off. We'll keep the power up until final. We'll be making a right turn just in a moment. The airfield, I think there's a valley down there on just off the right wingtip. It'd be quite hard to see, but I think that's where the airport is located. On the power ever so slightly. So as we turn towards Davie, we'll dial in the next altitude on the chart, which is 13,000, and we'll check for a 3.04 glide path angle. Our ground speed, we're a little bit fast, so we'll slow down, but we'll be looking for a descent of around about 900 feet per minute. Once we slow down to 160 across the ground, so that's 160 ground speed. The airspeed's a little bit on the low side, but up on the power just to be on the safe side. Okay, so in range checks, we got the weather and the winds. The altimeter is set 3006. Ice protection still on. Cowl flaps are open now. Mixtures are set. We're leaned out quite well because we're still pretty high. Fuel selectors are on. Crossfeed. Fuel boost pumps are off. Landing lights are now on. And the seat belts are fastened and secured. So we're just coming up on waypoint Davy. We got 1.1 nautical miles to that fix. And so that's us crossing waypoint Davy. So we will start our descent. Adjust our power settings. So we need to keep an eye on our speeds. We need, because of the altitude up here, we need to make sure that we keep our speeds a little bit above what we normally would. So we're descending now to 13,000 to waypoint Skid, which is just over 8 nautical miles from here. I think I can see the runway in the distance. I certainly can see something. So we don't have any clouds between here and the airport. That's pretty good. So by my reckoning, we are about 15 miles out. Keep our eye on our speeds. Like I say, we do have a little bit of a tailwind. So we've got 1,000 feet to reach 13,000 feet and 4 nautical miles to the next waypoint. And from there, it's a very slight turn to the left. Okay, so we are less than 2 nautical miles from waypoint Skid. That puts us within 10 miles of the field. So we will go ahead and lower the landing gear, and we'll set approach flap, and we will bring the power up to compensate for the drag. Okay, so we are now on our way to waypoint Inger. So we're looking for 12,460 feet. So we have the runway in sight. We'll continue on the RNAV approach though. So we're now on our way to Talu. No indications from a glide slope as yet. So we're maintaining the descent profile on the chart. We have a ground speed of just under 160 knots and we have a descent rate of 900 feet per minute. And that's as close as I can get it to the ground speed of 160 and descent of 861. So the glide path indicator is starting to move its way up to the middle. Once it reaches the middle, we'll select approach mode. So we're leveling off at 11.5, so we'll select approach mode. That'll continue us down on the glide path. So we've got 11.5. So that's glide slope captured. So the before landing checklist, we got an approach speed of 115. Flap setting is approach, landing gears down, and we've got 3 greens. On the paddles. So 2.4 is our missed approach point. The decision is to continue the landing. Dial in 16,000 into in case we have to fly the missed approach. Everything looks good. Back on the power slightly. Alright, that's 500 feet, so I'm just going to disengage the autopilot. We are quite hot because of the altitude. Let the speed bleed off. Oh dear. Alright, we're back on the center line. Gotta think about braking. Okay, well that wasn't maybe the prettiest landing I've ever done, but at least we didn't crash. So let's see if we can turn this plane round. Come on, turn. A little bit of differential braking and that asymmetric power, we should... Come on, come around. Come on, turn. As I say, this isn't the prettiest thing I've ever done, but I managed to turn without going out into the grass, so I'll consider that a victory. Alright, after landing checks, flaps are up cow flaps are open, landing lights are still on because we're on the runway. Transponder was 5313, which was last set from ATC. So we will taxi on back and look to exit the runway, which is all the way back at the start. So we've got no runway lights. Well, there is a little bit of lighting down at the far end here, but nothing on the actual runway. Don't know if any of the taxiways will be marked. We'll continue a nice slow taxi back. Come up on the power a little bit. There's some buildings up there on the right hand side. I think that's probably where the apron is. Still can't see any taxiways though. There's the windsock showing that we did indeed land with a bit of a tailwind. We actually did land a little bit faster than I would have liked, which did cause us a little bit of issue, but at least we didn't end up in the grass as has happened on previous flights. We didn't bend or break anything, so here's a nice yellow marker. Looks like the taxiways are covered in snow, so we'll exit here to the right. Indeed, the apron is covered in snow. At least it's lit up though. Down, we got a marshal hour, and so we'll go over and park beside him. A little bit of a hill, so we ran out of steam there. Don't want to give the aircraft too much beans, but come on. Come on, surely wouldn't need that much power. Alright, so we're lined up with the marshaller. Let's see. There we go, he's telling me to stop. Foot slipped off the brake, that was close. So he's telling me to apply the parking brake. So let's run through the rest of the after landing checklists. We have the landing lights are off and the strobe lights are off. We can turn off the ice protection, and we can run through the engine shutdown, so we can bring the fuel to cut. So the engines are off. We can turn off all our lights, pitot heat, and we can kill it here, so that will end it as far as flight sim's concerned. So we departed from Bryce Canyon at 22:58 Zulu, landing at Lake County, Leadville, Colorado at 0040 Zulu. Total flight time of 1 hour 41 minutes and 53 seconds, of which it was divided into 23 minutes and 27 seconds of night flight, 1 hour 18 and 26 of day flight. Counts as 1 day takeoff and 1 nighttime landing. So that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go to my bed. I'm glad that flight sim didn't dump, and I'll catch you again sometime. Bye bye.